Leo with Sirius Taurus Moon. Jupiter, our ascendant 13 degrees. Sagittarius midheaven, applying to Al Qaeda, which is a good time to call on Al Qaeda because the message that I am about to bring has to do with Jupiter approaching where he was conjoining with Venus next to Sirius. And I am going to wear my Jupiter Venus conjunction shea butter. This is not marketing because those are for personal use. And yes, it's a once in 84 something years conjoining on that point now. Neptune in Mars and then Venus sign in the coming 30 years. Uranus finishing up in Venus sign. Um, uh, we are going to, how should I say that? There was a question in the air if I was a seer or if I see, and I would like to address that. Um, through my work on the politics of the senses and the complementary work of people like Gigi Young and my um, after Me Too recovery patterns, uh, looking at chakra system, abundance, life energy, the gnosis of aligned contraction and expansion. Um, One of the teachers that I learned from had a description of the yin and yang as linear and cyclic, or pattern of pattern, or nonlinear, which would be my paraphrase on her. And this aligns the foundation of zero rape, zero slavery is just the beginning, because this is the foundation of alignment. And in that foundation of embodiment and alignment, the natural resources for each and every living being individually, from the rare earth minerals to the soil to the minerals to the housing to the cattle and the crops, or simply the food. All of these things to sense of self and a sense of connection to doing and being. It is all a part of a natural alignment. And when I'm saying natural, I don't mean um, negating technology. Now, every single individual have senses range that was diminished by rape, by toxins, and by forms of slavery. So this is something that reminds us that the Egyptian gnosis of the pyramids is not knowledge to be safe to the elites, because that creates mold, that creates actually perversion. And perversion, I don't mean as king shaming, I mean as um, think about the Dead True Rolodex, the Epstein files. Okay, the effect on science, economy, and so on and so forth. It's not because the knowledge was safe to the elite, it's because the elite hasn't actually practiced it. And to practice it, there is a natural unfolding of zero rape, zero slavery. Um, and we when we understand that, then question like, is somebody is a seer, um, are like asking if somebody has a sense of smell. Um, the embodied experience of life rather than the traumatic courtesan, and collapsed state of the sense of self. Um, that's the difference. And 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 that is what we are called to re-embrace with Neptune in Aries and Neptune in Taurus. Uranus in Aries and Uranus in Taurus prepare the ground. Uranus conjoining Aries in Aries was the Me Too. Uranus in Taurus, people began to um, expand and contract with jade eggs, um, and talk to their genitals, and or speak with their genitals, because their genitals answer. Um, if you haven't had an attempt to hack the communication between you and your genitals by secret societies, you have not. You haven't experienced a pure form of satire in your. Now, after Uranus comes Neptune. Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, and it's also to do with eroticism. Um, and here is where this alignment is important, because experiencing the eroticism with a sense of self is imperative to channel incorrectly. Because the skill of divination, uh, innovation in medicine, um, okay, the foundation of the water. Uh, and meeting our non-erotic needs, which is, you know, um, the foundation. Those are all a part of basically embodied experience of the senses that transcends the senses. And Neptune in Taurus is going to be transcending the senses. Vulcan, when I say we're coming to a second renaissance, is a reason why there's those who tend to curate the issues around the cloning projects and all these things that's you know when I say we're coming to the renaissance period with Neptune ingress in Taurus, it's 15 years. I'm gonna be 67. Okay. Neptune in Taurus is I the think about 1715, 1700s. Let's begin to look at it. Just so that you'll have something to look forward to. We're gonna see that in the 2038, 2039. And yes, I know, and then she does that. Um, but there's something to look forward to. Um, aspects and transits. No, we want the 1700. Aspects and transits. I want, you know what, maybe it will give me aspects, transits, table, aspect search engine. No, I actually look for a different thing. And let's talk about Neptune, not about aspects. Neptune. Okay, previous Neptune in Taurus. And this would be, okay, the last one we had was 1875 to 1889. Coca-Cola had cocaine in it. The rise, the rise of miracle substances like cocaine and heroin, um, and the completion of transcontinental railways. So the foundation is in Aries, the completion is in Taurus. Neptune in Taurus periods often involve idealistic, sometimes deceptive developments. But here is the difference. What is the one thing that changes everything? These folks were cloned and tortured. They had the approximation. They had the misaligned Neptune. They were missing. Saturn Neptune 0 degree Aries tends to the grand missing. 1710, 1724, the French were pioneers in creating popular coffee drinks from beans. 1547, 1561, chocolate was introduced to Europe. Are they going to talk about the Renaissance? Now, again, the one thing that changes everything, all of these folks were growing in patronage, which is molestation lineages. These folks ain't had the Me Too. Now, I'm saying that not from, I'm going to accentuate how I mean that. We know what's the one thing that changes everything. And this is beyond the Renaissance. It really is something that humanity in recorded time have not experienced. Okay, so we see the escapism, we see also connection to our tendency towards spiritual or idealistic relationship with land and nature. But we also see how the industrialized form um, that was relevant 2039 to 2052. By the end of a Neptune ingress, we are preparing the ground for Aries ingress. So this is also thanks to Patrick Watson page. Um, Patrick did a thing of having a social media to do with astrology that is going to derive, that is going to basically derive and deprive from royalties of people posting there. Now, I think that creating a contribution to science is amazing. I also think that housing for the community and resource resources, which is food, housing, and so on and so forth, um, needs to be a part of that because either we're going to provide royalties, but in the changing times, providing resources, um, uh, as housing, knowing that a person will always have housing, food as compensation for or as dividends for contributing to the beautiful scientific endeavor having an astrology social media that derives its info to AI. So this is how I would, because I spent some 3 years with his idea and what I think about that. So this is a point for consideration. I love his innovation and understanding that um, that AI is going to be there and thinking about ways to work with AI as astrologers. Um, for example, just the fact that we work with astrology programs, it doesn't mean that we don't learn how to computate a chart, but it definitely means that people like me, for example, would have had nearly impossible time if I had to calculate by hand everything. Um, and it allows even people with various forms of dyscalculia, um, when it comes to this level of detailed calculations, where in a business I would use an accountant, but for astrology I can use a program which is amazing, and so AI can be up leveling this service, even being able to do that research in itself is amazing. Now, the one thing that changes everything is that all of these periods took part where those who would participate in the sciences were coming from colonial lineages and or um, molestation lineages. Okay, the awareness to the effect of sexual boundary violation and the need to have sense of self and sovereignty is not even after the Me Too was not so widespread. And this is actually one of my major contributions in so many ways that I would need, and I would need quantum computing to computate the implications of that, and the cornerstone that I've set with art with the stars. Um, so the potential of having a Neptune in Taurus with zero rape, zero slavery, and full embodiment is something that is, you know, that's something to look forward to. So I hope that this episode is reminding us, and I hope that it settles the question of if somebody is a seer or if somebody has unique psychic qualities. It's not unique, it's embodiment. Unfortunately, for most of us, um, it began with trauma, but to reach that with embodiment is way, way more. And it's true cohesion. It is actually of security importance. um, Mars ingress to 24 degrees Aquarius, separating from the sextile to Chiron. Lovely, lovely Mars tenable Getty. And now, oh, it is squaring Uranus. Mars square Uranus is, um, yeah, is Mars square Uranus. Um, it is not squaring yet, but it's applying to Saturn ingress today to 1 degree Aries. And I will not leave us with ascendant 18 degrees. So those huge, huge, huge potentials and the outer planets in Mars and Venus sign. Um, they're basically emphasizing that the entire frequencies of the senses um, are a part of sovereignty and sense of self, about our actions being authentic to our sense of self, and about being and connecting. Which, of course, means it's our birthright. And there is no right over that, with all that entails.